All right, it's another trading week, the beginning of another trading week right here in February, and company results are still rolling in from the 2023 financial year, unaudited results, and also get some different earnings. Some companies that have different calendars at this point, and also other happenings in the markets. Join us now as Nnamdi Wizu, co-managing partner at Commercial Partners, joining me via Zoom. Great to have you on the show.
Great to be here, thanks.
Yeah, fantastic. So definitely we're seeing a couple of results coming out, and that have already come out the past couple of weeks. And, some of these companies, they've released some, interesting results, quite impressive, at this point. But talk to me about all the results you've seen and what they're telling you about the state of these companies and what to expect when it comes to resilience, of these companies in 2024.
Thanks, Roddy. So, looking at these results, I think we have two tails. The story is all about CNN. So you have those who have gained from currency depreciation, and then you have those who are struggling or recorded huge losses, basically due to the fact that you have the currency depreciation. So it's almost like a tale of two different sectors. So if you look at the FMCG, most of them seem to be struggling or seem to be reporting lower profits, lower, let me say flat reps in some cases when you compare to dollars. But basically profitability has dwindled, some even going into losses based on the fact that they've had to take huge hits on what has happened with the currency. If you look at the banks, results that we've seen so far, the results seem to show that still benefiting largely from the currency depreciation and the fact that they have huge dollar reserves. So if we were to look at, say, an Airtel that recently released their results, you would see that despite the fact that they grew their customer base by around 9%, right, to about 151 million subscribers, they took a huge hit on the currency, and not even just in Nigeria, but Nigeria, Zambia, Malawi, Kenya, so all across, sub-Saharan Africa. You can see firms that basically cover all those countries struggling to stay afloat. Airtel showed about $740 million loss in losses from exchange rates alone, right, which basically took them to profitable tax almost about $2 million from $523 million last year. So, also looking at PZ, which would fall into the FMCG sector, basically the same thing. If you look at their results, and that May 2023, before you had the whole depreciation, looked pretty impressive. They had about 114% growth in profitability. But by the time you go into their Q2 results, their own financial year starts in May. You look at where they got in the 30th, they're recording huge losses and still down to currency and depreciation, and basically just trying to stay afloat around that whole spectrum.
All right, definitely there is a cost of living crisis, at this time. We've seen a couple of states in Nigeria with people coming out to protest, at this time. And definitely that would have an impact, in investing. When you look at people are they're looking for money to feed, at this time. Talk to me about what you're expecting, in 2024 from retail. That's looking at investments coming from retail. Are you expecting some kind of drop or resilience?
Well, a lot really depends on how well the central bank and also the fiscal side can sort out currency issue. I think a lot right now is banking that. We have huge inflation, imported inflation, local inflation, all off the back of what's happening with currency, right? So to say or to be able to predict what will happen, one needs to be able to predict what exactly will happen with the currency, which so far has been pretty tough because I'm sure you had asked this last year, very few would have predicted that we would be at $1,400 at this point in time. However, we we have started to see a bit of interest. Some foreign investors, starting to look at Nigeria coming in. I think the central bank is beginning to raise rates and trying to migrate from that form. So hopefully with that, we should see some weakening of currency, which should also translate to a reduction in prices of things like diesel, petrol, and also generally help retail sector, right? Because until right now, the purchasing power of people of the retail sector really struggling. You have prices shooting up, but salaries are not going to meet those new price ranges. So what's basically happening is that people are struggling to meet up with the rising cost of goods. I think the people who might benefit in terms of the retail sector might be the local manufacturers who, basically focus more on just local goods, and hopefully people will look to them as a substitute for the imported goods and hopefully get a bit of a boost from that segment. But still, we can't discount what happened with prices.
Definitely, this would lead to some kind of demand, destruction, going forward. But how do you see this, rubbing off on most of these listed companies, when their earnings come out for 2024?
Well, like I said, we've already seen a few of them, PZ, Scene, Airtel. So we've seen a few of them showing us the effects of currency. So if I'm looking at their results for 2023, for most of the FMCGs, I expect to see them take huge hits based on what's happening with the currency. But going into for end of year 2024, like I said, it's a bit difficult to call, but I think things might have stabilized now. They seem to have. So we should start to see them pick up again. And hopefully, if we can get real inflation, then the demand will start to pick up again, and then you can see them bouncing back from the losses that we expect to see, or the reduction in profitability that we expect to see going into results or earnings periods that are going into right now.
Let's look at stocks worth over 1 trillion naira. We saw a couple of them added to the list. That's whether the market was quite bullish, talking about the NGX. But we saw the introduction of 6 new stocks into that category of SWOOTs, as we fondly called them. We saw United Bank for Africa, Access Holdings, Transcorp Hotels, FBN Holdings, and Geregu Power. All of them, got into that list. But a couple of them have left that list now. Just Geregu, maintaining, at this time. What is this telling us about these companies?
Well, SWOT's an interesting one. As at last year, February, about this time last year, I think we had just about 5 companies that had hit the 1 trillion market cap. And then at the peak for this year, the bullish run that we had, so we got about 14. And now we're down to about 10 companies that are still there, still soaring and still in the SWOT category. I think what we've seen has been quite a bit of profit taking, because we've had a huge rally over the last 1 year. If you look at the UK, for instance, it's gone from 835 covered to 25 now, so to come out. Well, that's 12%. If you look at the likes of Transcorp Hotel, it's gone from 6 naira to 97 naira. That's huge. So what you expect would be that you have some profit taking coming in eventually, which is what we're seeing now. But still, if you look at them compared to what has happened with currency, you can still say that the stocks still look very cheap. And I expect to see some of them that have dropped out to come back into the SWOTs when we start to see markets or when we get to the experience of challenge functions. The likes of UVA, Access, and MPN, we're expecting to go back to SWOTs.
And I guess a bearish run has a way of pulling most of these stocks out of that level. We'll see if they'll get back in, if the bulls return again. But to another sad one now. We got that sad news over the weekend with the passing of Mr. Herbert Wigwe, his wife, his son, and Mr. Bamafin Bimbola Ogunbanjo, the former NGX chairman. And definitely a painful exit at this time. But paint a picture, of the kind of gap this loss creates in Nigeria's financial industry.
Very sad news, very heartbreaking. You basically created a gap that it's going to be a big struggle to fill. He was a visionary. You could see that with what happened to Access for the last few years. The massive acquisition that we've been doing in the last 1 year. And even with the vision around opening the university and starting up the university, that just tells you, where he was going. He was bullish. He seemed to be very pro-Nigeria. Looking at, I attended an event where he was talking about the school, right? You see how passionate he was about the school. And it's really heartbreaking that it's all come to such an early end. And pray for the souls of the departed, and we have to go to comfort.
May the souls of the departed rest in peace. Thank you so much for coming on, Mr. Nnamdi Wizu, co-partner at Commercial Partners. It was great having your perspective today.
Thank you.